So the making is soloing and making a chord changing sound. The key is this voice leading. And Wes Line and Django Line will give you to navigate through the fretboard. That is the way to going freely up and down the fretboard. That is the way. But the where we need to go is already written. Those are the melody or the third of the chord. We need to find them. Alright, let's start from the beginning, okay? So I'm keep saying the first step is knowing share voicing, right? And where we go, rootless voicing, which is third plus seventh guide tone. Why? The voice leading it lives in here. So without the root from the share voicing, we can clearly see where is the voice leading in the chord progression. So the chord symbol does not really tell you what notes we need to focusing on when the measure is changing. The chord symbol does not teach you that. The guide tone, the voice leading, tells you what we need to focus on. So that is the basic. So I think Claire understand that, but how we can make this to the line, that is the missing link. So that coming from the upper structure. So over here we are already going backward, because the jazz already went to the upper structure before even the share voicing is supporting them. What I mean is the Charlie Parker, the bebop, is all about the upper structure, but he came out like out of nowhere. Everyone is just playing the same swing tune. That's why the Charlie Parker, his composition is based off of the standard chord progression. The song already existed before, but he is playing his decorative upper structure melody lines. It sounds like a solo already, but he is making them as the melody and improvising over it on top of that. So the upper structure concept is already there, even, and that's why the pianist was struggling to find a good voicing to make that upper structure tensions to make good sound. So they don't want to cover all that tension while they are playing the comping, but also they need to make clear chord sounds with just as little as possible note choice. So that the share voicing was the answer to that. But the share voicing is already existed from impressionists, the Debussy and Ravel, they use them a lot. And also before Bill Evans, many players figured it out and played it over here and over there. But because I think the Bill Evans trio make it too extreme that every player need to practice that the A form and B form of the shell voicing. The A form and B form is, so shell voicing is root, third, and seventh. But the third and seventh can be flipped. So root, seventh, and the third on top of the seventh. That is another form. So we need to know the A form and B form because the pianists, they're like one-on-one. Like if you applying for the learning to jazz piano, then the A form, B form of Bill Evans, the shell voicing is like standard way to get there. And then shell voicing on the guitar is to that too. So the A form and B form is on the guitar, root on the 6th string and root on the 5th string gives us that flip. The third is coming before 7th, or the 7th is happening before the third. So that flip is on the root on the 6th string or the root on the 5th string. So we need to know them. So, and how we can go to the upper structure and how we can make them linear way on the guitar. So on the piano, everything is just, we can see it. It's easy because, okay, we have one voicing on the piano and we can just fill in between notes. And if we set from this note to that note on the piano, we can clearly see it is just, for example, seeing on the keyboard and looking at the music is the same thing. If we have a C7, E to the B flat, right? Then we can literally see what notes are in between. Right? Or F, F sharp, G, G sharp, right? Every note is just in between, we can clearly see it. But on the fretboard, my bad, excuse me. Let me see. Yeah, but on the guitar, C7, okay, C7, just simple C7, we have two positions. So in this case, it's only F, G, A, but in flipped way, E flat and E, it could be C, C sharp, and D sharp, right? So still, we can see these notes. Once we set the guide tone, the available note in between is just there. You can see it on the music and also keyboard, right? But on the fretboard, let's see. C7 over here. How we choose the notes in between these two. Like that. Then how about over here? We have this voicing. We want to fill something in between these two notes. Where is in between these two notes? something like that. So that is why on the guitar it is hard to find the available notes on the guitar. That's why we need to build a chord voicing on top of it. That is that voicing. So once we get over the shell voicing without the root, the guide tone, if we have the guide tone, and then we have the drop 2 voicing on the guitar. That drop 2 voicing, okay, from here, it is really beneficial for the guitar. On the keyboard or on the music, the drop 2 voicing is very confusing. It is hard to understand because the closed voicing shape is much easier to understand and see on the keyboard and on the music. But on the guitar, the closed voicing is the worst nightmare. To the guitar, the drop 2 voicing is where we can play them with our fingers closed. So on the guitar, our fingers closed so we can play them voicing is already in drop 2 shape. So follow me along. I'm giving you the hierarchy to think and see this fretboard, how we can use this fretboard, how we can see this fretboard to make music. Okay, so this C7, we already know this C7, tension 9, and the 5th on top. So this becomes E minor 7 flat 5 like this. So we are using this voicing shape to soloing over. Or over here, C7 and adding a tension, this shows us that B flat major 7 flat 5 can be used on this particular voicing shape. And from there, we don't play with. So before Wes Montgomery, his idol, his hero was Charlie Christian. So what Charlie Christian played was what Charlie Parker did on the music. He plays the upper structure concept. In Stardust, when Charlie Christian was soloing over B flat 7 chord, this B flat 7. So in my mind, I want it to be clear as possible, but like guitar is so particularly complex instrument. On the music, let's see the B flat 7. B flat 7, right? And then upper structure, adding tension 9, right? And what I said, rootless voicing. And then this becomes what? D minor 7 flat 5, right? It is easy to see it on the on the music and also on the keyboard. But let's see on the guitar. I think Charlie Christian got it from the melody Donali. So once we are trying to play the Donali on the guitar, the Donali is key of A flat major 7. So A flat major 7 goes to the F7 on the second measure and the B flat 7 on the third measure. And the melody goes right? Charlie Parker is targeting the third of the chord still, right? F7 on the second measure. And then third of the B flat. He is targeting the third also. And then what he plays on the B flat 7 off of this D was, what is this? This is D minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio. It's chord tone. But what Charlie Christian played over this B flat chord off of this D notes, what he played was this D minor 7 flat 5 voicing. Charlie Christian played the chord shapes on the guitar that is showing. And in later, same tune, same track, when the B flat 7 is coming again, he see this B flat 7 chord shape. And then he lines up, like he plays like, his line was like that. So B flat, on the B flat 7, D minor 7 flat 5 again, and see this. This is actually the Django line, right? So on the B flat 7, if we think that as a 2-5 progression, F minor 7 to the B flat 7, right? So A flat major 7 for the F minor 7 and the the B flat 7, the 5 chord, we have flatted 5 of A flat major 7. So this shape over this B flat 7 shell voicing is Django line. That is how we connect. That is how we see this logic from shell voicing, rootless voicing, and concept of the upper structure and coming to the line. So this particular voicing, if we want to play the B flat 7 over here, we can play like a Charlie Christian, or we can play some line off of this basic shape of the upper structure shape. And then over here, B flat 7, and this is D minor 7 flat 5, right? So let's go from the beginning, the B flat 7. This is B flat 7. This is the rootless upper structure, D minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio, and adding another third becomes F minor 7, adding another third and get rid of the bass note becomes A flat major 7. And then we can keep going on, and these notes becomes what? Wes Line. I think Wes came up with his line by transcribing Charlie Christian and any other players around him. Also his brother, Buddy Montgomery. Yeah, he is a pianist, jazz pianist. So I think they are influencing each other in this concept, and he came up with this upper structure idea, making that sound, which other players making it, and also the voicing of the piano, looking over on his brother's shoulder and trying to make the sounds on the guitar. And he came up with that particular structure on the guitar. So these are the hierarchy, and these are the step-by-step looking at this method. But as I said before, this is what I came up with, trying to explain, trying to make you guys understand how this works. This is my own words. This is probably not in Wes's head, but I'm trying to connecting the dots over here to make sense of it. That's why this is only the practical, understanding part, but the really applying it and really making it under your ears and under your hands, you guys need to get Wes's transcription, listen to his music and trying to copy it, trying to play them correct way. This is really important. Correct fingering, correct way. I laid out everything that how he might doing it, and within the history of the jazz, where we are going for the upper structure, and the disadvantage of the fretboard. But if we applying it in right way, that is how Wes was doing it. During that time, nobody can play like Wes. Think about that. But Wes hacked it. Wes hacked this fretboard way before anyone can do it. The way he hacked it is he studied the Charlie Parker. He studied Charlie Parker by transcribing Charlie Christian, the upper structure sound, upper structure way of seeing the fretboard. Okay? So I think this is as clearly I can give you guys the step by step and connecting the dots. But really you guys need to know is seeing these connections in Wes's playing.